Right, we're on a road trip with Adrian again, A&K Van Services. You know, if I'm in the van, something special's going on. Here we go. So how long has it been here for?
12 years.
12 years. Wow. Yeah. So we've officially given up on that, haven't we, Scott?
Yeah, for now.
What our solution is, the comment section of this video is our solution to fixing the car now, isn't it? Right, so we're just going to stay in our lane and just focus on cleaning then, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what we're good for, don't we? Look what we got back. Our Saab 900 Turbo. Hopefully before this I've inserted some clips of when we went and dug this car out with Adrian at a barn nearby. We got wind of this car when a lady came by looking for a car for her son and mentioned that she had a Saab 900 Turbo convertible tucked away that had a stuck clutch on it, and it had ended up being dry stored for about 8 or 10 years, I think it was. It was her pride and joy. She nicknamed it Beastie, but she didn't have the funds at the time to fix it, so it was stored away and kind of got forgotten about a bit. Luckily the barn was super dry, and after we knocked the discs with a hammer and I think it was a extension bar, we freed them off and managed to get it rolling again. Got it back here, gave it a clean. It turned out to be a really clean and tidy car. Only 80,000 miles on it, so really low for one of these. Dropped it down to the Moors guys, my garage that does all my work, and said, look, have at it guys, we want a good, reliable runner driver. We weren't looking for restoration. The car has blemishes on it, but it's very original, and we didn't want to go, you know, full-blown resto mode. One, we'd be probably talking a couple of years before it was done. Two, it would put the price point at a point where there'd only be a handful of people that would be interested in it, and it'd be quite a complex sales process. So yeah, we wanted something they could drive daily, take to a show at the weekends if they wanted, and then improve as they went along. Now obviously, as much as people like the idea of barn finds with low mileage, they're not actually the best way of buying these cars. You're probably better off one with a higher mileage that's been used all the time, because otherwise you run into the kind of expense that I've run into getting this done again. We'll go through it all in a moment. We've got the bill on the dashboard there, but obviously sitting around, cooling systems get blocked, tyres get flat, and get flat spots on them and start cracking, hoses start to crack, brake pipes rot out, all kinds of stuff. So I had to really bite the bullet and say, guys, you're going to need to do whatever needs to be done. They obviously put it all together, got it all as they thought it was, test drove it a couple of times, came back to me and said it needs a few other things, and then stuck it in for an MOT. But we've got the bill on the dashboard there, so we can go through exactly what everything cost. It's raining again, so I've moved indoors to go through the spend on the Saab 900 Turbo. So here's my bill from Moors. Let's go through what they did. They did a pre-MOT, charger battery, renewed radiator, renewed water pump, renewed fan switch, renewed antifreeze. Got the engine running, they renewed vacuum pipes, renewed spark plugs and air filter, fuel filter, oil, engine oil and filter, renewed the alternator because it wasn't charging, renewed screen wash pump, repaired the horn, renewed track rod ends, renewed 4 brake hoses, 3 brake pipes, service front and rear brakes, renewed offside caliper, bulbs, battery clamp, did 4 new tyres and set the wheel alignment. So we had a total of the, what's the label is 470, which again seems reasonable for the amount of work. But let's look at the parts list. Yes, there was a page 2. So engine oil, oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, spark plugs, alternator, radiator, flush, whatever that kit is, vacuum pipe, water pump, clip kit, bolt kit, petrol, antifreeze, brake fluid, brake pipes, switch, hose, track rod end, ball joint, caliper, washer pump, pipe, clamp kit, union, tyres, 4 tyres, everything there. Total bill, £1,711. On top of that, I bought the clutch kit, didn't I? And I fitted the clutch. So I did actually get my hands dirty on this one as well. I also had to buy a fan for the radiator because that wasn't working as well. And there's some other odds and sods. I would imagine we are getting on for over £2,000 worth of stuff on top. So Again, you have to laugh when I pulled this out the barn and the chap helping said, "You've scored yourself an absolute bargain there." People have no idea what it costs to get a car that's been sitting back on the road again. You're almost better if this had 200,000 miles on it and was being used daily in terms of you purchasing it, because odds on are you wouldn't have to do anywhere near the amount of stuff we've done here. Obviously, whoever buys this now is doing okay because we've done all of the work already on it for them. That said, there'll still be bits and bobs that they're going to need going forward. I mean, you could put a new windscreen in it because of the delamination and the crack on that side. What else could you do? I mean, obviously you could have it repainted if you wanted. I wouldn't recommend it. I think that's kind of dead money at the moment. I would just drive it as it is. It's all working nicely. Just drive it as and enjoy it is before you put any more money into it. But there we go. That's a lesson to you all. Don't go and think that buying things cheaply that have been standing out of barns is, you know, with low mileage is a better bet than going and buying a higher mileage car, classic, that's being used daily. That would always be my recommendation. It's a lot more money to refurbish one than it is just to buy one at a higher price in the first place where everything's been done already. So what do we reckon the Saab's now worth? Well, I can't find another one. I've been looking online and I cannot find, other than in Europe, another Turbo S 900 convertible. I think I found one other with like double the mileage than this, and that was about 10 grand. The ones in Europe, I mean, I'm seeing restored ones at 24,000 and I'm seeing good runner drivers at 12,000. Mine, like I say, it still needs some bits and bobs doing to it. Like I say, it could do with the windscreen to bring it up to sort of concours. It need a paint job as well. I think it's entirely reasonable to ask about, I'm tempted to say 7,995 for this one. I'd say 7,995. I think is reasonable. It could still do with a full clean-up and a wax all underneath as well, I'd say, on top of that list of bits and bobs. So, I shouldn't say this before I get back in again, but the Saab has been performing fantastically. I brought it home last night, went to the gym this morning in it, and now I'm on my way back into work again. It was predictably pouring all last night, but it is bone dry inside. The hood is fantastic. And as you can see, it's not steaming up either. I'm really, really impressed. I've got to put a massive shout out to the Moores boys. They did a fantastic job of getting this back together. Remember, it was sat for 10 years. And as I said, they went through and did all the hoses, all the pipes, all the cooling system, put the new tyres on it. So Dan and Trev, I think, were the two that did the most work on it. So massive thanks to those two. They said, look, just get out and use it for a couple of days and then bring it back if you've got any concerns about anything. They wanted me to put a few miles on it. But yeah, so far, so good. Really impressed. It is the type of modern classic that if you only really had the budget for one car, you could use it every day, go to work and back in, and then turn up at a show at the weekend, and it does it all. Far so good. Temperature staying halfway. We're at 60 mile an hour on dual carriageway. Going through the gears fine. It's obviously started raining, which was to be expected. But yeah, it's going through the gears fine. It's not misting up. Keeping a nice steady speed with this fresh fuel in it. That'll be nice to get through, clean injectors out a bit. I'm not obviously thrashing it, letting it get warmed up. The boys said, look, just go steady for a bit, James. Go steady. And just check everything's bolted together nicely. Nothing's overheating. Nothing's going to burst. Set fire to itself. We've got a fire extinguisher in the footwell. No, in terms of driving, it feels, you know, okay. I mean, obviously, it's an older convertible. There's a bit of scuttle shake with it, which is to be expected. And I used to have like 2012 CLK, that had a terrible scuttle shake. This isn't too bad, really. Suspension is compliant and smooth enough. Yeah, probably could benefit from being rebushed throughout, but nothing outrageous. Keeps on modern traffic absolutely fine. Obviously, like I say, I'm not giving it the beans. Doesn't feel as torquey, doesn't feel as boosty as my 8 valve did, but I think that is the difference, isn't it? I think these have got more linear power rather than that nothing and then the big shocks of it. But obviously, once I've put a few more miles on it, I'll look to test it a little bit more on that front. I mean, it's not going to be fast by modern day standards, isn't it? I think even back then, what was it, 8.5 seconds, something 9 seconds, which, you know, a lot of you 1.4 family runabouts are doing now, so it's not going to feel quick, although I was given an intercooler kit for it, which will give it apparently I think another 10-15 brake horsepower, maybe even more. But I think I'll just sell that with the car, and you can decide for themselves whether they want to do anything with it or not. What is really impressive is how watertight it seems to be. I'm not getting dripped on at all. And like I say, I'm not fogging up, which I expected fully to be getting fogged up. Stereo doesn't work, but electric mirrors do. Driver's windows, electric windows not working. The passenger one does. All the rest of the buttons seem to work fine. All the dials seem to be working as they should. So yeah, put a few more miles on it and I shall... Well, there we have it. Nice uneventful journey back. It yeah, seems to be getting better and better, a bit quicker as time went by. I've noticed something coming out of back here, a little whiff of there we go, a whiff of smoke coming out the front, so we better check out what that is. I've got a feeling it might be the oversized battery I put in. I think it might have slightly touched the turbo on the side, or that's coolant related. There's the fan kicking in, so that's doing what it should do. We've still got a problem with the bonnet release here. I need to look into sorting out. It's just that the little cable that fits in the hole keeps popping out, so I need to get in there and put it in each time to pull it out. But yeah, it seems to be getting better and better, seems to be loosening up. But time to check all the fluids. The whiff, the smoke was coming out from down here, wasn't it? It could literally just be water on the brakes or on the bottom of the engine because it's got hot. But so the fan's kicked in, the coolant is exactly where it started, so it's not lost any coolant at all. So that's a good thing. They've got the coolant system nailed. Oil wise, the power, how are we doing power steering fluid? This shouldn't jump out at me, should it? That is at its, I think it's at the right level. Might need a little bit of a top up. That's what I'm talking about with the battery, see? It's just touching the edge of the turbo there, so I need to get a smaller battery. That's easily sorted out. That's where I left my top gun on it before I jump started and left it running. I forgot I'd left the top gun on top of it, so that's where that came from. Oil's this side, isn't it? The boys had slightly overfilled it when I checked it cold. Oh. Still a lovely colour. And pretty much where it should be. I know I've not wiped that off, but it's certainly not used any, and it's not coloured it up much. I know I've not done a huge amount of driving on it, so it doesn't, not necessarily that meaningful. It's a bit of a pain in the bum to get in this. There you go, that'll do it. Fan's cut, so it's obviously happy now with the temperature of the engine, and I'm not seeing any smoke coming off anything now, so I can only assume, like I say, that was maybe some water on the hot brakes or on the bottom of the block. Doesn't seem to be any hoses I can see that are bulging or anything like that. Clutch I installed works, so I can still get my hands dirty and make things work. No, I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed that I've been able to get in it after that period of time and commute in it twice now without any real issues, he says. I keep thinking I'm jumping the gun a bit by saying that, but I mean, let's face it, it's done those journeys absolutely fine. Like I say, I'm really impressed how watertight it is. Now, this is provisionally sold already. It's sold provisionally to one of our subscribers in Ireland, whose dad had one when he was a kid, and it was exactly the same colour combo as this. He saw it when I first got the car in and asked immediately, you know, could he have first dibs on it. That's a very provisional sale because I need to do him a walk around video on it. We need to discuss the logistics of getting it over to Ireland. I think he's got some duties to pay if he imported it. We've got to decide whether we take it any steps further or not. Do we put a windscreen in it? Do we wire brush under seal the bottom down? I'm trying to keep it affordable at the moment. These prices just range massively. You can pay 20 grand for one of these. I have put it out there at 6,995, which I think is really reasonable considering the car needs I'm considered that the car needs a few more bits and bobs doing to it. You know, that window needs to be got working, you need to put a stereo in it if you need such a thing, and like I said, that windscreen could be doing replacing. The body work's not perfect, You got the sort of bubbles along the front here, on the edge there. None of it seems to have taken proper hold. It's all, you know, it could be caught now and just touched in, I guess. I personally wouldn't paint it. I think if you did paint it, it's probably a 10 grand car. Like I say, with 80,000 miles on it, and the hood's bang on and interior's bang on. But I personally wouldn't paint it. What we've done with it is made it something you can, like say, hop in and use straight away. Don't have to be massively precious about, and you haven't got huge amounts of money tied up in it, and you can take it a few steps further if you want to. So I think it was probably, in hindsight, probably worth 7,995. But 6,995 is where I've pitched it with our subscriber. Like I say, I've got to do walk around video for him. We've got to work out a logistics. As long as he's happy with all of that, yeah, we're good to go. I mean, I could have carried on spending on it and made it a car that only 1 or 2 people might be interested in that could afford it. I think I've stopped at exactly the right point here, which is what I'd call recommissioning. But I'm sure you've got all your own ideas, so pop them down in the comments below. I think he probably would have made an awesome raffle car, but like I say, we'd already agreed with our subscriber that he would have first refusal on it. There is one other thing that needs doing as well, is I promised the lady that sold me the car that before I sold it to anyone, she could come and have a test drive in it. And so we've got to do that. Obviously, I wanted to take it out first. I wasn't going to let her do the maiden voyage on it. It needed to make sure it was safe. The other thing is she wants to take her number plates off it. That was agreed at point of sale. But obviously, it needs to be taxed before she can do that. So she's going to have to tax it. I said, we don't tax them because obviously that puts the car in our name. She needs to tax it and get me the new V5, which I don't like because I'm relying on someone getting their paperwork across. As soon as they've got their paperwork for their number plate, it's not really much of a priority to them to get me the paperwork back. And that's no disrespect to anyone, it's just human nature, isn't it? So we need to get that sorted, get it back on its original number plate before we can let our subscriber have it. But yeah, next thing for me is give it a wash off, do a video for our subscriber, and yeah, hopefully that goes ahead. It was a fun little project. We've got a nice car back on the road for someone, and we've got another project to get on to straight away. As always, massive thanks for watching, much appreciated, and I'll see you on the next one.